And a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios with the very latest on this Monday. A cold Monday it is. It was so cold that even Dan couldn't even leave his house today.
It's cold in the house. We've been through this a few times. 64 degrees right now is what it says on the hallway wall there. So we're saving money. It's not cold enough yet, Chris, to start burning the heater.
Oh, I got the heater running in the studio right now. It's just crazy talk.
Yeah, well, it's gonna have to get about 10 degrees colder, I think, before I pull the trigger on that one. Although we'll see. Maybe by Thursday or Friday, I'll be sick of it.
But you know what? Here's the deal, though, is that goes directly against the freezing pipes safety tips that we tell everyone at home. So, you do as I say, not as I do.
I mean, I've flown airplanes, driven race cars. What's a little risk? It's a little risk.
We need to get a plumber on board, and then we can afford to take those risks.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. The last plumbing expense wasn't too bad, but I have heard frozen pipes get ridiculously expensive, so
Yeah.
we'll watch closely.
Yeah, I've only ever had one. It was in 2014, and it was an outside pipe that kind of ran underneath the house to an outside spigot. It was early January, like January 8th or 9th, somewhere around in there. But hope you had a good day. Did you see we had some smoke out there today? You may have noticed it, kind of wafting from the north down to the south, and you can see there it is, captured by my friends, the Yoopers there, Bruce and Miss Beth Jacobson, looking off to the west, and you see that smoke. Now, if you look at that smoke right there, that's pine log. So that's all the way up near like northern Bay County, up near Ebro is where that smoke is. And then it just kind of wafts up. The wind catches it, blowing it from the north to the south and out towards the Gulf. And our live Doppler radar was able to capture it today as well. And if you look real carefully, you can see there's that plume of smoke just south of Bruce and Ebro and heading down towards the south. But we always appreciate y'all looking out for us. It was a 520 some odd acre prescribed burn, so it was nothing that we needed to worry about, but it definitely was out there today. And of course, we appreciate you submitting those pictures and videos like the Yoopers did on the Panhandle weather app right there. Submit photos and videos. Thank you very much. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. It's cold this evening. It's going to be a cold night tonight. It's colder right now than it was this time last night, but the good news is the wind is not quite as strong. We're at 10 miles an hour over into Destin, but by morning we should settle under 5 miles per hour. So whereas the wind chill this morning was in the mid-20s, the wind chill tomorrow morning will not be much of an issue. 47 is where we stand currently over into Destin this evening. Panama City's at 49 degrees, north-northeast wind at 8 miles an hour. But you notice no one's up for a swing this evening over there across the bay. Meanwhile, as we look over into Panama City Beach, looking out towards the Gulf, you can make a faint bit of daylight out across the horizon. Temperature 47 degrees right now out on Panama City Beach. And again, you notice that wind fairly light looking over at Pineapple Willie's, the yellow flag, not blowing too terribly much. And there you see the county pier off into the distance. So visibility pretty good out there this evening. And Panama City Beach over at Sharky's there this evening. To no one's surprise, dining out this evening. Low temperatures started off this morning, sub-freezing up across the I-10 corridor, mid-30s down along the immediate coastline. So that's about where we expected it to be, which was a light freeze inland and then no freeze down along the immediate coastline. Temperatures today did warm up into the 50s across our region. So we're into the low to mid 50s, but again, way below average for this time of year. We should be up into the low to mid 60s. So almost 10 degrees below where we should be. And look where we are right now. 40s for most of the region, 50 still for my friends in Mexico Beach. But we are going to continue to plummet this evening. When you look compared to 24 hours ago, most of us 5 to 10 degrees colder than we were this time on Sunday night. So let's talk a little bit about those winds. Winds are much lighter across our area, and those light winds are going to mean cold temperatures again tonight. So while the wind chill will not be an issue, temperatures will certainly be an issue, as it's going to be plenty cold. For more on how cold it might get, let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, staying warm over here in Springfield. Thanks for checking in, Virginia, and Linda's here. We have Melissa, and Becky. Carol just stopped by, so we're filling up the house here tonight. All bundled up indoors, of course, with temperatures still dropping at this time and cooler than they were at this time last evening as well. Going to keep that north wind around over the next several hours. It's breezy over the Gulf, but just a light 5 to 10 mile per hour wind over the land as you get all the way towards tomorrow morning, so not as much of a wind chill factor tomorrow morning, but still, of course, some pretty cold temperatures throughout the morning, midday, and perhaps even the afternoon hours, despite the fact that winds will be pretty much light and variable by that time frame. Live look at the radar right now. You still see some of that smoke getting picked up by the north winds and moving southward towards the west end of Panama City Beach right now. That's all there is to speak about on the radar at the moment. As you look a little further out on that big picture view, some passing clouds. You see some hints of blue on the returns here on the radar. So mixed precipitation all the way back towards the west right now, but obviously no precipitation forecasts for us over the short-term part of the forecast. Up across New York and into the New England area and even across Canada, you have some more snowfall coming down. It's been snowy at times all throughout winter there. And then here you see some moisture streaming out of the south through parts of South Texas, Corpus Christi picking up on that at this time too, as this big low pressure system slowly works its way towards the east right there. Futurecast for us, keep the clouds out of the forecast here pretty much all throughout the nighttime tonight. That does help temperatures drop, so it'll be chilly again tomorrow morning as you might expect. A few passing cirrus clouds tomorrow, gradually increasing cloud coverage throughout the day, but ultimately the story remains the cold temperatures, as it'll be a little while before we have to wait for any other sort of weather headlines here in the Panhandle. Temperatures tonight slow to cool at first, but we're still cold, of course, dropping down to about freezing by 4 o'clock this morning, so your time below freezing, not necessarily inland areas, you will 11 hours with temperatures below 32 degrees. Probably not going to spend a long enough amount of time at all to worry about preparations of things like dripping faucets or protecting pipes, although any temperature sensitive plants that you still somehow have outside, I guess your last chance to move them indoors the next couple of hours. So Chris, the cold temperatures, obviously the story right now, at least across the Panhandle, but we'll continue to be seeing, of course, next, not just a story for the next 24 to 48 hours. The cold weather is a story for like the next 10 days.
Yeah, that's the thing. You start looking at, I mean, we're used to cold spells of like 3 days, but to get up there around 10 days, and you know, when you start talking about temperatures that cold for so long, now you increase the possibilities of opportunities to throw precipitation into some of that cold weather, which will be, you know, something we'll watch. Now, we're not really seeing anything to much consternation, but you got to at least have the cold weather, and we'll have plenty of that over the next 7 to 10 days, which is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I guess we'll have to watch for some of that to set up maybe for the timing. It's got to be perfect if you're talking about any funny business. There's a reason that we only get some wintry precipitation every, 15 years. Snows like every 30 right now on the cycle we're on. But we will be watching it, of course. I know there's been some rumblings of a few European model outputs that looked exciting. The ensembles maybe don't support it, well, really at all. But it's fun to think about. Of course, fun to track over the next week.
Yes, and we will be on top of it regardless. But coming up in a minute, we will talk more about the cold weather and how long it lasts. And this is just kind of a tease. It's going to possibly get a lot colder later this week. The details on that in just a moment.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. with professional-grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
We're proud to bring you the most popular cars in the world, like the stylish Camry and the sporty Corolla. Get award-winning style and 2.99% APR on a new Camry, named Best New Model by Kelley Blue Book. Plus, you get 90 days until you make your first payment. Curb appeal comes standard on the new Corolla, designed to wow from the inside out. Get 2.99% APR plus 90 days until your first payment. Panama City Toyota, your Camry and Corolla headquarters.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
Hey, and a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle. Nice and warm, 73 degrees. Looking up there at the mini split this evening. So not maybe as warm as Melissa or Sally, who are snuggled up by the fires at their houses this evening.
Yeah, it's definitely cold here, but I'm holding out.
Holding out.
Fortunately, it's not concerning to me, despite not running the heat this evening. Temperatures where I'm at in Springfield not going to really get any sort of threatening. And then I see the question here from Sheila asking about running water in Alfred. I don't think so either. Your kind of rule of thumb is 12 hours below 32 degrees, or at least 4 hours, would you say, Chris, if you're below 25. So the hard freeze is more of a, yeah, run it. But if your temperatures are 30, 31, 32, we don't spend enough time down below 32 degrees for it to become a problem. You're going to be down there tonight for probably 3 or 4 hours. So things should be all steam ahead here. I don't think we have any concerns for anywhere in the Panhandle. Different story, I'd say, up along I-65 up towards Birmingham. If you're watching in Montgomery, a very different tale than what we're talking about here in the Panhandle.
Yeah, later on this week, now we could be talking about opportunities to have to kind of drip the faucets across northwest Florida. So let's go ahead and take a gander outside. We start from this morning where we look down over Panama City Beach and northerly winds, and you see the Gulf, at least near shore, pretty calm. Now, as you go offshore, it was plenty rough today thanks to those northerly winds, but at least when you have the protection of the dunes there near shore, at least, things were pretty nice. Meanwhile, this evening, Stephanie over into Mexico Beach, a lot of cirrus clouds. John and Patty Nelson here for their 13th anniversary, celebrating out there on St. George Island as they do every January. Welcome back, my friends, and I hope you enjoy there. Still enjoying marital bliss, if you will. And then nice sunset this evening out over across the beach. A lot of color in the sky, looking nice. That's also the case over for David Wesley out over across the beach this evening. Meanwhile, Sharkies, as we mentioned, everything's all quiet there, at least outside. Inside, there's plenty of folks. Over into the port this evening, you can see a little bit of a breeze ongoing, but all in all, quieting conditions there. Over into St. Andrews, it's 49 degrees. Baytown Wharf this evening, pretty quiet there as well. So here's what's happening with your forecast headlines. We will see another inland breeze tonight across our area. Less wind tonight. Now, as we move over the course of the rest of the week, it's going to be cool Tuesday and Wednesday, but then it gets cold after that. So temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday should get up at least near 60 degrees. It's a touch below average, but then it gets cold after that, maybe 40s later on this week for high temperatures. Rain chances, I have a small chance of rain on Wednesday. We'll get more into that in a minute. Temperatures tonight dropping down again below freezing for my inland friends. The beaches will not freeze tonight. And as we were talking about, we don't need to drip the pipes tonight because the duration of the freeze, even for inland friends, is going to be pretty light. Notice these winds are going to be very light tonight. 3, 4, 5 miles an hour. That's going to be about it. The winds stay light tomorrow as well. But look what happens here. Look at the winds. They start to turn a little west, at least very briefly, and that will start to bring in some moisture. So you'll see a slight warm up. So low temperatures tomorrow night will be warmer. It will be warmer Tuesday into Wednesday. But then the cold air begins to come in. Look at this. Look what happens Wednesday night. The winds start screaming out of the northwest Wednesday night, and here comes Old Man Winter, and you will feel that on Thursday when highs will struggle to reach 50 degrees. So we have the high clouds moving out this evening. We have clear skies overnight tonight into your Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, that disturbance Dan showed you over southern Texas will begin to throw clouds across our area as we head into Tuesday evening. It won't be anything to worry about, but at least it will bring us some clouds back as we head into sunset tomorrow evening. So Futurecast shows temperatures tonight near 30 inland from the Chipola River Valley to the I-10 corridor, and then we'll go mid to upper 30s to near 40 right along the coastline. Now, a good many of us will have to deal with frost in the morning. I think the beaches will be on the fringe of it, but likely not seeing frost. The kids will have to bundle up again. It will be warmer. We'll almost double the morning low with a high of 61 degrees, but still, it's plenty on the cool side. You're definitely wearing long sleeves. So your high temperatures Tuesday, about 61, 62 degrees seems to be about it. Low temperatures Wednesday, 30s to near 40 degrees inland, and then mid 40s. So we talked about that warm up. Remember the westerly wind bringing in the moisture? Now, as we head into Wednesday, we stay warm. Look at that, low to mid 60s. So we're like, okay, we're done with the cold weather. But then here's what happens. We get plenty of cold air that will begin to plunge to the south in the wake of what we're seeing today. So we see the cold weather today, then we see a little bit of a warm up. And you see that warm weather out here, cold weather here. That cold area gets kind of pushed a little bit farther to the south. So we see a subtle warm up, but then we see a big plunge of cold air. As the disturbance passes north of our area, that will bring snow and rain to parts of the Midwest. We'll deal with the southern extent of that, which will bring us a small chance of rain on Wednesday. Over the weekend, maybe a 10% chance Saturday night with another front that brings another frigid blast of air as we head into Sunday and Monday. So let's talk about it. So we have the clouds out right now. These clouds exit, we see the break. There's your disturbance. That throws clouds across our area Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, look at that. Wednesday morning, we see some showers passing across our area. Then we pay attention up here as the front moves through. That could bring with it a final little burst of showers. So we'll see multiple rain chances on Wednesday. When it's all said and done, we're not expecting a lot of rain, but then look, everything clears out, high pressure builds in, and the recipe is there for cold, cold weather. Talking about the rainfall, again, don't expect a lot. We have some to our north, but across the Panhandle, we're talking hundreds of an inch of rainfall. It's not even a guarantee that all of us will end up seeing rainfall. So there you see plenty of cold air with this big trough across the eastern United States to talk about the cold air and whether maybe can we marry cold air and precipitation? I don't know. Let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman and find out. To rain on your parade.
Yeah, it will rain on the snow parade, perhaps. You probably heard something about it, though, because, of course, we've kind of been seeing some model signals painting some blue on maps where it really shouldn't be, although last year tells you it's at least possible. But European model within 168 hours, kind of showing you tail here of some snowfall. It's going to be a little hard to see on your screen here, but there definitely is a glimpse there on one model run, and that's the key. It's one model run that you saw that's accumulating snowfall across parts of the Panhandle. You look at the model itself, and well, there was definitely a sign of some action out there. As you see this trough swing through, there's a cold front there, and we're looking at Saturday night into Sunday morning here. Temperatures cold, and there's some moisture there too, where temperatures are dropping down to cold enough to see some mixed precipitation. However, this is one of the more important parts or pieces of the puzzle. These are ensemble models here, and you'll see that there's really not a whole lot of these members. There's 50 here on the left-hand side of the screen. You're only seeing about 4 here for Crestview on the latest run of the European ensemble, even painting a picture of potentially some snowfall. And it's the same, Mariana, maybe a few more spots. As you look towards Panama City, it looks like about 6 members seeing snowfall. So the support is pretty limited, and I kind of expect it to stay that way given how things are shaping up at this time. As far as the snowfall, though, it is possible. We had it last year, and here's a look at how it needs to happen if we were to get any more fun like we did last year. I'm sure there's some folks here that would say it's not fun at all, but here's a view. As you get in towards this time of year, you start watching for things like the Arctic air that's coming through. We have cold now, comparatively to the event that we saw last year, maybe not Arctic enough. Last time around, you had this big high-pressure system that was across the central part of the country. That in place really helped to drive in cold temperatures. When we were looking at that event, we saw the coldest temperatures, in record cold temperatures towards Mobile, down to 8 degrees right by Mobile Bay. So the forecast, of course, now is cold, but it's not nearly as cold as what we saw with this giant ridge of high pressure, 1042 millibars across the central part of the country, just feeding cold air down towards the south there. We also had a low pressure in the Gulf, and that's one of the more important parts of the puzzle here. You see that right there, passed by to our south. And that really helped to spur things up as far as the action last time around. If we were to see anything this time around, it definitely would be much closer to a flurry or maybe just some depressing rainfall. But we'll check it out as we try to see if the Gulf moisture and the cold air can line up. Usually that is what falls through for us when you see the cold temperatures. It usually comes too far behind the Gulf moisture, which will be in along the front this weekend and then pass through very quickly. And of course, we'll also have to keep an eye out too, Chris, for the potential for perhaps maybe seeing the cold air not through the entirety of the atmosphere. That can happen, and you're left behind with a huge amount of disappointment because you have all the frustrations of winter weather without actually seeing any snowfall. So the bottom line with this weekend and all the fun that we've seen is that it's more than likely going to be a big disappointment, but certainly fun to think about the potential for seeing something out there. We'll continue to track it, of course, as well, but I wouldn't get your hopes up at this time. Here's a look at your forecast as we head through the remainder of the 7-day here. Obviously, cold temperatures continuing to be the story for us here across the Panhandle. You see that big trough swinging through. That's Friday, and now you get in towards the weekend, still sticking around. So we are going to have the cold air in place. Again, the question is, where will the moisture be? Will there be any moisture? And is the air going to be cold throughout the entirety of the atmosphere? But ultimately there, you see, as we get in towards early next week, we're still stuck in this trophy pattern here. Your temperature trend continues to sit right up through the 50s as you get through the afternoon. Thursday, the coldest there, we could be in the 40s all day long. That's the warmest it could get on Thursday for some inland locations. And then as you get in towards the weekend and early next week, it's still cold. Low temperatures probably at their coldest for Friday morning. You see inland lows there down into the 20s. So that'll be the time Thursday into Friday morning that we perhaps could have to drip some of the pipes out there. I think Thursday morning could be pretty chilly out there too. And then early next week, another cold. It's a 3-pronged approach of cold here as we go through the next 7 days. And I think we can look at the long-range trends here. January 18th to the 22nd, still looking cold. It looks like we might finally turn the corner as we get closer towards the end of the month. The dry conditions continuing over that time frame too, so kind of stuck. Exactly what you're seeing right now is what you're going to get for the long range part of the forecast. Very little change as far as what you feel here on the 7-day forecast. Again, temperatures a little warmer by Wednesday. We'll have more clouds out there and just a brief chance of a passing shower with a pretty sharp front, and that'll drive temperatures down significantly by Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, the thing bottoms out, temperatures down into the 30s at the coast, and again, 20s perhaps in inland spots, so that'll be the time that we're talking about wrapping pipes, stripping faucets, those sorts of things. We should warm up enough for the weekend and not have to worry about it, but by the time we get into early next week, we'll be back talking about the cold temperatures for a third time around. So, Chris, it is all about the cold here, with at least some aspirations of winter weather at this time, but obviously a lot for that to go wrong, as it usually does when you're looking into this longer range part of the forecast. Days 5 through 7, it's kind of pattern recognition. It's really that 2-day out time frame that you can start to say, hey, I think this could happen, so we'll watch it.
It's just so hard. And like the one thing is, like, you really need a low pressure to our south. And that's the one thing that I'm not really seeing, is that to get that low south of us and then the cold air, because like what's happening on Wednesday of this week is it's a front coming through. And so the moisture, the low is actually north of us. And so at that point, it becomes a race of, is there any moisture associated with the front when there's cold weather? And that's not the scenario that you need, at least to get any kind of, other than like maybe flurries or something like that.
Yeah. So I have last year pulled up. This was last January, and this wasn't just a low out in the Gulf, Chris. It was pretty far to our south, a meaningful enough distance that you had the moisture wrap around it. And you had the extra kind of squeezing effect of this front that fizzled out as it approached us. You could see these yellow colors, all the moisture there. It was the perfect setup to get it. If that low were 100 miles to the north, you would have had the moisture, but it would have adjusted temperatures too much and got us too warm for snowfall. It would have been a cold, dreary rainfall. And then this time around, you're seeing a front with no low, and more than likely, we're probably not going to have any real moisture to work with this time around. The National Weather Service kind of already saying that, Chris, in their latest forecast discussion. They were like, yeah, we've seen it too, but we're not very confident in the moisture being there by the time the cold air gets here. And I would say that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
I'm not cocky enough to say it's not going to snow with like some flurries, because it's 6 days out and I would eat my words if that were the case. I'm certainly not confident enough to include snowfall forecast this far out.
Well, and I can't remember if you said it or not, but like of the 51 members of the European, it was like, at least earlier today when I checked, I think it was 6 or 7 had like had some snow, but like I think all of them but one was way under an inch, like 0.2, 0.1. I think one of them was at an inch of snow. So, you know, that's just not, you know, when you start doing the math of the ensembles, it's just not really adding up as far as like it really being that great of a possibility.
Yeah, so I'll pull those back up here. So these are the ensembles from Mariana, which is the best looking spot that you can pick for a point forecast. And you have 7 there out of 51. So about 20% showing like 1/10 of an inch, 2/10 of an inch, one that gets up to 1 inch, but most of them sit in that 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch range. And then as you look across Crestview, where you think it would be more likely to see anything as far as snow flurries even, it looks less likely there. So I think we could be looking at fool's gold right now, just given all the different locations that you pick and what they ultimately show you as far as the chance of snow.
Yeah. Hey, Brian Sims was telling us, which I didn't remember, although I was certainly alive, that he's watching in San Antonio. And on this date in 1985, they got over a foot of snow, 13.5 inches of snow. And if you look on the monitor behind me, there's the Alamo with the snowman. There's the river. But I mean, just incredible amounts of snow. But you know, the way you get like this kind of snow, again, is low pressure moving to the south with the cold air overhead. So, you know, their opportunities to see snow have to come the same way that our opportunities do, which is low pressure and then cold air up on top of that. But the great 1985 Texas snowstorm was on this date in 1985. Thank you very much, Brian, for sharing that with us. Pretty cool.
Just returning to the National Weather Service here really quickly. I thought their wording was fantastic, so I'm going to pull that back up. So yeah, they say less than 10% of members show any wintry precip, and that's talking about Dothan and Albany, north of the Panhandle. So even lower chances expected down here. Only a few outliers show merely a trace. All in all, wintry precipitation shouldn't be expected, although we understand it's fun to look forward to. In the very low chance that it occurs, it would be brief, light, and no impact. This paragraph is intended to be, quote, cold water on any hype about wintry weather.
So, cold water. So you're saying there's a chance.
But everybody's acknowledging, I think, that it's fun to think about, but
yeah,
we're definitely not going to put all our eggs in that basket at this time.
And again, I worry that like anything short of last year is going to be like a disappointment. And last year was pretty amazing, but probably not something easily that we can replicate.
Just know, as I probably continue throughout the week to rain on that parade, I want it to happen really badly. It's just probably not going to. But no. I'm Team Snow with you guys, so it's going to be something I watch very closely.
Yes. So, well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. We've poo-pooed on everyone's snow chances. We talked about cold weather, and I think probably by the time this breaks sometime next week, I think we'll be ready for some warmer weather by that point, but at least a nice dose of cold air for the week ahead.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make a dent in the mosquito population. Those things are resilient.
Yes. Well, y'all.
Thanks for stopping by. Take it away, Chris.
No, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your support, and we will see you back tomorrow. New updates dropping on the channel right now. We'll see you in a bit.